We're not waiting for opportunity, we create an opportunity. We're not waiting for opportunity, we create an opportunity. Right, in this one, we're going to talk about you need in order to be successful. What you need to do in order to be successful. We're not waiting for opportunity, we create an opportunity. So I want to talk about doing extras. You must do extra in order to be successful. There's no way around it. You got to do extras. No one in life became wealthy or healthy without doing extra. They had to do extra. In order for certain people to be in positions that they're in life, in order for people to give their family the opportunities in life, the lineage opportunities in life, they had to do extras, right? It was no way around it. If you stay doing the same systematic thing every day, I don't mean in the sense of routines for you to get to a goal you have. I mean, if you just follow the everyday guidelines of things, you're not going to get out of the place that you're in. You're going to be stuck in that same place that you're always in and wondering why. You're going to be, this is the water level, and you're going to be like right here. Sometimes right here. Maybe a little bit your nose above it right here, but not much. You're not going to get out of that space fully by just doing the norm. It's not going to happen. You can't do the norm in order to get full life's wealth and full life's health, to be successful, to be in positions that you see people in every day where you're like, oh my God, like how did they do that? How did McDonald's start that company? How did Starbucks start that company? You know, how did NBC start that company? How did Netflix start that company? You know, places like that. How did certain people become so healthy in life? How did they get a six-pack, right? How did that happen? How were they able to run 30-minute or for an hour? You know what I mean? How were they able to do that? Run a 5K, you know, run a 10K. How was that possible? How were they able to win the Olympic gold medal? They had to do extra. It's not going to happen if you don't do extra. I'm telling you that right now. You're going to be stuck in the same place you've been in, or a little bit right there with your nose above it, where you can at least breathe. But you're still taking the water anytime a wave hits, or anytime the current gets high, or anytime if you walk in the water, you know when you're in the sea and you walk in the water and get a dip and you go down. Oh man, you got to try to walk back up, or you got to walk back, right? Or you got to like float back up. You're never going to get anything in life if you don't do extra. So let me show you this on two sides of it, right? So a lot of times people are trying to get out of a certain environment they're in order to elevate themselves, to see more, to do more, right? And in order to do that, you got to do extra. So you have certain scenarios like, I'm going to give it on two sides. You got one side of scenario environment where people are selling drugs, dope boys, and you got people who are strippers, right? That's on one side, right? Then you got the other side, the person who works 9 to 5, who goes to school, right? So both sides, when you are a dope boy or a stripper, you make that money, right? And you get that money, but you're limited on what you could do with that money, where you can spend that money, how you can spend that money, right? And at the time, either you're going to see death, prison, or if you live out your ages, you're going to just have a story to tell. And you're going to still be in the same environment that you were in, right? Still in the same low poverty environment that you were in. Still in that same drug-infested environment you were in, violent environment you were in. Strippers, same thing, right? You're sitting there, you're stripping, you're getting your money. There's so much you can do with it, right? So you're doing what you got to do. Eventually you're going to get older, right? You get older, what happens? Nobody's trying to watch you as you're 50 years old stripping, right? Or 65 years old stripping, right? It's not going to happen, right? Not a lot of times, you know, you have people who are into that, but not a lot, right? Not where the big money isn't concerned at, right? So now what happens with that as well, too, on being a dope boy, a drug dealer, or a stripper or a robber, whatever you say in that environment. I'm not putting any of those things down. That's why I'm talking about them as well as the other side I'm going to speak about, because people are in environments and the environment shows them, well, yo, I see this and this is the way for me to get out, right? I saw this with this other person and they had a bit better life than I want to live that I'm living now, right? So that's what they did. They followed that trend of it, right? They followed that, right? That same trend, that norm in their environment, right? So I'm not putting it down if you're doing this and that. I'm just saying to you, in that situation, for dope boys and strippers, right, and robbers, in that environment, that might be the norm for that environment in order for you to live a better life in that environment. Just like the other environment would be the norm where you go to school, you get a college degree, you work a 9 to 5, right, and you retire. That's maybe the norm in that environment. So back to the first one I was saying now, with the stripper and the drug dealer and robbers and stuff, right? So now, as you get older and you may get hurt, you may die, you may be imprisoned, you may get hooked on your own drugs, you may get hooked on drugs, you may live an older age, you couldn't do much with that money, because any money you get, you have to find a way to source that money when you're trying to invest in other things. When I say source that money, I mean lenders and other places and taxes and the IRS and the government want you to source. Where did you get that income from to do that, right? Because the government wants their piece too, right? It's part of their laws, right? They want their piece too. So that's why it's so difficult sometimes for these people to make a good amount of money and invest it anywhere, because they don't want to pay that tax, or they don't want to show that, or they can't source it correctly without getting in trouble. Okay, that's the norm for that side, right? The norm for going to school, working a 9 to 5. You go to school, you get an education, you may come out with a lot of debt. The majority of people come out taking loans to get their masters or even getting their bachelor's, master's, doctorate. They take loans out, right? Hoping whatever they get after can pay this loan. So usually when you take your loans out for stuff like that, you end up having to pay an interest of like 2 houses, right? Throughout your time of paying it off. So you walk out with debt. Now you're trying to get a job. You get a job. You got a beginner level, even if you have some internship skills. And now you have to try to pay off that debt. You already start with debt now, right? You got the school, you got the information, got the education, getting this job. You already got debt that you may pay anywhere from, depending how you do it. If you have to just pay it monthly, or if you do, they have a program where they do, depending on your pay, what you would pay monthly. And you have to do that every year to show your income base for the year. Is an income-based payment, right? So for the loan, school loan. So you may say $300, $400, $500. This depending on how big your loan is, right? And over how much time you got to pay it. So you already have that. Now, you're not making enough at the job. You're just meeting it because you're just starting. So you're working these hours. You may have 2 children. You may have a child. You may be married. You may not be married. But you guys are still on the same situation where him and her have loans from school debt, right? And you guys are trying to make a way out by working a regular 9 to 5. Now you work in this 9 to 5 and say you're just right there, right? All right, you can pay your monthly mortgage, you can pay your school debt, you can pay your kids' daycare, you can pay for your kids to go on something extra. You got Netflix account, you may have a Disney account, you may have cable, you got light bills, all this stuff. You got car, right? You gotta pay for it, even if the car's paid off and is used, right? But say a miscellaneous happens. This happens all the time on the side. Once a miscellaneous happens, it takes you back. You may even have to take out another loan to pay it, or you're sitting there not knowing what you can do to get this. So you may have to take a side job, right? And God forbid if you get hurt, right? There's not even just 9 to 5. Like when I say 9 to 5s, I don't mean just for the schools. Even people who have trades. You have truck drivers all the time who drive all these hours and shifts, right? And eventually get knee injuries, right? And eventually after they get the knee injury, they can't drive as long anymore. So now they may have lost their trade. And now on top of it, they're sitting there and they may be taking medicine, right? Oxycontins because of the pain, and that's what they were given by the doctor after the surgery on the knee. And now they're addicted to it. You know, the stories you hear all the time where how people got into an accident, something happened, they had to do surgery, they were taking Oxycontins, got addicted to it. couldn't really go back to their job because they couldn't function and do the same job because of their injury. And now they're sleeping under a bridge, right? Or like I said, not even to that extreme, people just trying to live check to check, trying to catch up, trying to pay these miscellaneous that occur. Your kid get hurt, you get hurt, right? Your kid needs something extra, right? Something happens all the time and you don't have enough to cover it. Or you got to take out more credit card loan debt. And now the debt's getting higher, right? So you were here and now the debt's getting higher. So you're still stuck in the same environment that you grew up trying to get out of. Got the information that you need, right? But you're still stuck in the same environment with the bills piling up and you not be able to do more. You're just working to pay out those bills, working bills, check to check every week, right? Or every 2 weeks. So I use those two different sides to show you because it's different environments. Let's be realistic here. This is real in where we live. This is real around the world. The people who live in low poverty environments and they sell drugs, they scam, they strip, you know what I'm saying? They rob, whatever they got to do in order to try to make their life a little bit more comfortable than it is. Then you have the other side. They're trying to do whatever they can. They're studying all around the clock. They're trying to get a trade. They're trying to learn something to get a regular 9-to-5 job or get some kind of weekly income to take care of themselves. But that's not enough. It's not enough because as you saw on the side with, with the drug dealer and the stripper and all this stuff, you see that it doesn't last and you can't do much with it, right? And on the other side, you see with them, if something happens with the person who's working the 9-to-5 in the trade and went to school, they already have all this debt, you know what I mean? They're trying to pay this debt as they're trying to get payment for the information and their expertise that they have for the profession. And any miscellaneous happens that may occur, that happens a lot, with that's no choice of your own, puts them right back under, right? So this is why I say you have to do extra. There's no way around it, right? And I'm explaining on both sides too. So, and some people may not like it because I'm explaining on this side and like, oh, well, that's not right. Listen, we're not talking about moral here, okay? We're not talking about all that. We're talking about people, real nitty gritty, what's going on every day with people right now in life. We're not talking about the foolishness. We're not getting lost in that because we're trying to help people to get out of that, right? On both sides. So they can have more self days, so they can enjoy themselves and be wealthy and healthy, right? Okay. So now if you have the person who is selling whatever drug they're selling, take their money that they made and they're like, okay, there's something else I want to do with this money. If it's slowly investing here and there in stocks, right? Over a period of time so they get to a certain place where they can get dividend returns, or if they're like, you know what, I have something else I want to get into that I would like to invest in. So if they're like, you know what, let me make a goal of this. I have this amount, then let me stop, let me work for a year, right? To pay the bills I got going on right now, keep that money there so I can show it, then start investing it into other places so I can show the income. They had to do something different. They had to do something extra, right? Some way of figuring out how to invest that money the correct way to get out of that situation. So now they're investing their money into the company slowly, right? They're showing the proof of income that they have, right? So they can start investing in other things, asking for other loans in order to create other assets, right? And take care of themselves with business-wise and get themselves out of that environment because the more they do what they're doing, the less they're going to want to be in that environment because it doesn't go together, right? And the more they can break free fully, right? And do something else in life and enjoy their life and see more and be more. The stripper. Perfect thing, right? So I don't remember the name, but I saw a feed one time about a stripper. So she was a stripper. She went to stripping. She had an idea. And she was like, man, I'm going to start my own truck service. And she thought of it. She's like, I'm going to do it through stripping. I'm going to get the money and I'm going to stack it up. She was accounting for all of the tips and everything, paying whatever tax she had to pay on it so she can show the income, show the money coming through, 1099s, everything, right? So she was biting that and she was studying about trucks, right? She was studying about how trucks maneuver, how you can transportation with trucks, right? Picking up loads, dropping off loads. So she bought her first truck. She was still stripping. She got it on the road, right? She was still stripping. Got another truck, got a driver, got it on the road, right? After a year or two, she had like 5 or 6 trucks. She stopped stripping. At that time, she was already making 6 figures off of the trucks yearly, right? Just the trucks going out. No longer stripping, has her own company, has a fleet of trucks, and hires people to drive the truck, and has dispatching, right? She took it to a whole nother place, but she did the extra and paid her dues for what she had to do, the studying about how truck transportation worked, the putting the money aside for it, figuring out what she had to take care of in order to get that truck loan or buy that truck outright, start that company, build that business, and keep it going. And now she's out of it. Totally different place. And I believe she's probably still growing now, right? She did extra. She didn't maintain and stay in that same place. Dope Boy didn't maintain and stay in that same place. Figured out something extra, started learning and doing what they had to do to get the extra that they want to get so they can build the real wealth for themselves, right? Now let's go to the other side. You have people now, they're working, they're doing this and that, and they're sitting there and they're like, man, I'm not seeing anything different. So what do? They have a plan. They may work extra shifts when they don't have any extra expenses. They may work an extra job to build up extra money to invest, right? To invest in stocks, to invest in real estate, to invest in other business, to start a side business, to create this income, right? To create a portfolio of income, right? Some people also, while they're working, you hear it all the time. They'll take a retirement, right? A 401k, right? They'll do that, a traditional IRA, so they can see some income from their money later on, right? They had to do extra because doing that same thing wasn't going to get them out of their situation. Because anything that hit them, any miscellaneous that hit them, it was done. And you see that word miscellaneous? People tell you all the time, put away for a miscellaneous situation that may occur. Besides your emergency fund, right? Besides the 3 to 6 months or 6 months to a year that you have saved up for your monthly bills. Because anything can occur and you have no choice over that. And that's just extra stuff that's going to happen to you. So you have to do some miscellaneous things so you can get past that. You got to do some extra things. It doesn't work unless you do something extra. You can't just do the same thing every day and think you're going to get out of the place that you are, or you're going to elevate to the next level if you don't do extra. It's not going to happen. You got to do it when you don't want to do it. You got to do it when it's irritating. You got to do it when you're tired. You got to do it even if you don't see no way out of it. And you got to keep on going. You got to try again. But if you stay in the same thing for a long period of time and don't change, you may miss your opportunity. You may miss your opportunity. Because the more you do extra, the more you create opportunities for yourself. Right? The more somebody takes extra time to say, hey, I'm going to work out 3-4 days a week. I'm going to jog 3-4 days a week. The more opportunity they give themselves, if they have it in their family, right? Not to get cardiovascular disease, right? Cardiovascular disease, a stroke, right? High blood pressure, hypertension. They have a better opportunity, right? When they take that extra time for themselves to take care of themselves. When they take that extra time to wake up 15, 20 minutes earlier to stretch, to do a 15-minute workout, even in their room. Take that extra 10, 20 minutes before they get up to meditate so they can control their day, right? So they can have a better outlook on day and they can handle whatever comes at them. You have to do extra in order to make something happen. My grandmother and grandfather came over here on my father's side, right? They're immigrants. I think they came over here, I want to say in the 70s. Yeah, in the 70s, I think. Around the 70s, I think they came over here to America. My grandfather came over here in the 70s in America. And when he bought his home, he didn't buy a single family home first, right? My grandfather had no GED, but he was a mechanic and he was very good at it. And they wanted him, right? So they brought him over here. He wasn't looking to come over here because where we came from, he was good to go. He was chill. He had his own shop and everything. Grandma was good to go doing her thing, a seamstress, baking cakes for weddings, all that stuff, right? She was good to go. So when he came over here first, he bought a multi-family home first, a 3-family place in Brooklyn, right? And then he rented out the second floor and the basement so it could pay for it itself as him and his family was living there. And then after that, then he bought his single family home, rented that out, the whole thing out, right? The whole 3-family, multi-family home. He knew already that he had to do extra. Who wants to live all the time with people around you everywhere? You want your own space, right? You don't want to walk downstairs sometimes and see somebody else there. You know how living in apartments are if you familiar, right? But he understood what he was trying to do. I got to do this extra time in this and do this because I can create more wealth for myself and my family and more opportunity for my family. Then like I said, then he bought a single family home and he had all 3 of that rented out. So he was able to stack his bread when he was living there, do everything he has to do, get his home he really wanted, right? Which still was a 3-story home, upstairs, a downstairs, and a basement. And it was his and his family's. And he was all right. And then later on in life, or even my grandmother, right? When she was here, she was working, doing nursing, but she was still doing what she was good at. She was still being a seamstress with dresses for people. And she was still baking wedding cakes that she enjoyed. So she was still creating other streams of income. My grandfather moved up to be a diesel mechanic because he mastered being a regular mechanic. So he wanted to learn something extra to put in his tool shed that gave him more opportunity. See, he didn't stay stuck in doing regular car. He moved up to diesel. My grandmother came here, learned her nursing, did that, and still took what extra what she knew, what she did back home, where she was from, here, and did extra. You know, and that's why my hats are off a lot of times to these elders, because they used to grind it back in the day and they had no problem doing it. Because when I saw my grandma had a medical issue in New York, and my grandmother would have been better in a warmer climate. And they already had the land in the warmer climate. They already had the place built up. And my grandfather, they didn't have to wait for retirement to say, let's go. They said, okay, we're done. Let's stop. Let's go. Because I want my wife to be good. And they did the right things where they could have that choice. They did the extras so they could have that choice in life. Do you understand? They did the extras so they can have that choice in life. They made the extra sacrifices so they can have that choice in life. It's all about extras. My grandmother on my mother's side, she comes up here and she's here for years. And my mom and everybody's always saying to her, I guess, from what I heard, why don't you sell the house back home? Like she has a house, multiple rooms, land and everything. And my grandma's response was, for what? If anything ever happened here, we always got a place to go. We always got something of ours. We have more. We always have something we can go to. As my grandma retired, that's what she did. She would be here in the States and she would go back home. Back and forth when she felt like it. She was a dual citizen. You understand? Like she did dual citizenship so she can do both. So she can vote in both. So she can have a say in both. So she can reap the benefits of her work and her stuff in both. She did extras. Extras. You understand? You got to do extra. We think, I don't know if we think, but some people think that one thing's enough. It's not enough. Let me tell you, just like when one thing stops, another thing starts, that's how it is with your life. One thing stops, so you get one place, another thing must start. It's not over. You have to do extra. It's a must you do extra. You're not going to get further if you don't do extra. So let's do extra. Because we're not waiting for opportunity. We create an opportunity. We're not waiting for opportunity. We create an opportunity.